Imagine standing on a planet that looks almost exactly like Earth. Blue skies above you, gravity pulling at your feet, a warm sun hanging in the distance, a little brighter than ours, but familiar. The ground beneath you could support liquid water. The temperature might even be right for life. You look up and think, this could be home. Now imagine that this place is 1,400 light years away from Earth. That's the story of Kepler 452b, and it is one of the most haunting discoveries humanity has ever made. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just a science lesson. It's a story about hope, about ambition, about what it truly means to look at the stars and reach for something you can never touch. It was July 23, 2015, when NASA made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the scientific community and captured the imagination of the entire world. Scientists operating the Kepler Space Telescope, a telescope that had been quietly staring into the cosmos since 2009, had found something extraordinary. They called it Kepler 452b, and they called it something else too, something that stuck. They called it Earth's cousin. Not Earth's twin, not Earth's clone, her cousin, close enough to feel familiar, far enough to remind you just how alone we really are. So what exactly is Kepler 452b? Let's paint the picture. It orbits a star, Kepler 452, that is remarkably similar to our own sun. This star is about 1.5 billion years older than ours and about 10% larger. It burns a little brighter, a little hotter, but in the grand scheme of the universe, it is nearly identical to the star that gives us life every single morning. And Kepler 452b, it orbits this star at almost the exact same distance that Earth orbits the Sun. Its year, one full trip around its star, takes 385 days. For reference, ours takes 365. That's a difference of just 20 days. 20 days, on a cosmic scale, that's nothing. The planet sits squarely inside what scientists call the habitable zone, sometimes called the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water to exist on the surface. And where there's liquid water, there's the possibility of life as we know it. Kepler 452b is about 60% larger in diameter than Earth, which puts it in a category called a super-Earth. Scientists estimate its gravity could be up to twice as strong as what we feel here, which means if you were to stand on that planet, if you were somehow impossibly standing there right now, you would feel like you were carrying another version of yourself on your shoulders. Heavy, but survivable. The atmosphere, if it has one, is likely thicker than ours. The clouds, if they exist, probably reflect more sunlight. And given how much older its star is, the planet has had 1.5 billion extra years to evolve, 1.5 billion more years than Earth. Think about what life on Earth looked like 1.5 billion years ago, single-celled organisms just barely learning how to exist. Now multiply that forward. If life ever emerged on Kepler 452b, it has had an almost incomprehensible head start on us. This is the planet that made scientists whisper to each other in hallways. This is the planet that made astronomers pause mid-sentence. This is the planet that John Jenkins, one of the lead scientists on the Kepler mission, described as the closest thing to another Earth orbiting another sun that we had ever found. So here's the question that everyone asked immediately. Can we go there? And here's where the story turns. Here's where the wonder becomes something heavier, something that sits in your chest like a stone. Because the answer is no. Not no for now, not no until we figure out better rockets. No as in the universe has built a wall between us and that world that our physics, as we currently understand it, simply cannot climb. Kepler 452b is 1,400 light years away. A light year is the distance light travels in a single year, about 5.88 trillion miles. Now, multiply that by 1,400. The number is so large it stops meaning anything. It becomes abstract, it becomes noise. So let me make it real for you instead. Our fastest spacecraft ever built, the Parker Solar Probe, can travel at roughly 430,000 miles per hour. It is a marvel of human engineering. It is the fastest thing we have ever launched into space. And if we pointed it directly at Kepler 452b and fired it today, it would arrive in approximately 37 million years. 37 million years. By the time it arrived, the human species as we know it would almost certainly no longer exist. The continents of Earth would have shifted, mountains would have risen and fallen. Whatever came after us might look up at the sky and have no idea that once, long ago, a small, fragile species on a pale blue dot dared to dream of reaching another world. Now, could we someday travel faster? Scientists have theorized about it. There are concepts, warp drives, wormholes, generation ships that exist on the very edge of theoretical physics. A physicist named Miguel Alcubierre once proposed a design for a warp drive that could technically allow travel faster than light by bending the fabric of space-time itself. The math, in a narrow sense, works. The engineering? It would require a form of exotic negative energy that we have never been able to create or even confirm truly exists. It would require more energy than our entire civilization produces in millennia, focused into a single point. It is not impossible in the same way that magic is impossible, but it is impossible in every practical sense that we live in today. And there's another problem nobody likes to talk about. Even if we got there, even if some future version of humanity cracked the physics and somehow made the journey, we don't know if Kepler 452b is what we think it is. The Kepler telescope detected the planet by watching for tiny dips in the star's light as the planet passed in front of it. That method tells us a lot, but it doesn't tell us everything. We can't see the surface. We can't sample the atmosphere. We can't know for certain whether it has liquid water, whether it has life, whether it is barren and frozen or lush and teeming with something beyond our imagination. We are, in a very real sense, falling in love with a silhouette, a shadow crossing a distant star 1,400 light years away. And yet, isn't that what makes us human? The fact that we found it at all is extraordinary. We built a telescope, we launched it into space, we pointed it at a single patch of sky containing about 150,000 stars, and we watched patiently for years. And from that watching, we found a world that might have water, a world that might have weather, a world that might, just might, have something looking back at the same stars we look at, wondering if anyone else is out there. Kepler 452b is not a destination. Not yet. Not in any sense that is useful to us in our lifetimes, or our children's lifetimes, or the lifetimes of countless generations to come. But it is something perhaps more important than a destination. It is proof. Proof that the universe is not empty. Proof that Earth-like places exist. Proof that the conditions for life, our kind of life, are not some impossible accident that happened exactly once in an infinite universe. We are not the only story. We just can't reach the others. There's a quiet tragedy in that, but there's also something magnificent, because every civilization that has ever grown beyond its own horizon has done so by first looking at something it couldn't reach and refusing to look away. The ocean was once a wall, the sky was once a ceiling, and one day, maybe not for 1,000 years, maybe not for 10,000 years, the stars will stop being a limit too. Until then, Kepler 452b hangs in the sky 1,400 light years away, patient, ancient, possibly alive, possibly watching, and we are here, looking back. If this story moved you, if it made you feel the size of the universe and the strange smallness and greatness of being human all at once, then you're exactly the kind of person this channel is made for. We explore the cosmos, the questions that keep scientists awake at night, and the discoveries that quietly change everything we thought we knew. Hit that like button if Kepler 452b deserves more people knowing her name. Subscribe so you never miss the next journey, and leave a comment below. I want to know, if you could send one message to whatever might be living on Kepler 452b right now, what would it say? I'll see you in the next one.